Hello and welcome to the new and improved Minnesota Left-Handers podcast. This is the inaugural podcast of this iteration of Minnesota Left-Handers. I've expanded. I originally ran it, Nate Doimer. I originally ran this organization, this podcast, this account, in an effort to grow the Minnesota State Lefty Open, but I have decided to expand it. Brought in a real visionary here, Brett Rulander.
Hey, welcome guys. Appreciate you guys taking a watch here. I'm super thankful to have a guy like Nate to allow me to be a part of this. It's going to be awesome. I think it's something that's going to grow huge here. With all the events that we plan on trying to put on, just putting a name to it and bringing in a lefty and righties into the stuff too to make it something that's more lefty focused, but everyone's involved type of deal. So awesome.
That's all good and all of that, and I'm happy to have you with. But that's all secondary to this question. What's the state of your golf game?
Well, it's very rare that I'm over 100, but never under 90.
Okay.
So I'm in that range. I'd say an average round is probably 46 to 48. Last week, Thursday, Riverwood National, 44. No
Nice.
birdies, no lost balls, and I think I had like 3 or 4 pars. So
Should jump in here. Cited the 22 and 23 State Lefty Open, Riverwood National, Otsego, Minnesota. Technically, Monticello, Minnesota is the address, but I think you know that course. I think if when you get out to holes like on the back 9, kind of whenever you cross the road into the neighborhood, I think it switches to Otsego. I think those houses are in Otsego, but the address is Monticello, so it's it's one of those places where it depends on where you are. But
Also-
the address is Monticello.
you could throw a rock and hit the Albertville malls,
Yes.
or the Oldham malls, yeah.
Super close. I think it's a great spot for that tournament for that reason. You got 5 miles up to Monticello, 5 miles out to Otsego. Where you've got plenty of nightlife options as far as bars and things like that. I had a goal this year of dropping my handicap down to a 6. I started the year at a 9.9. That's been a journey. On-air production meeting. Are we a family-friendly podcast? Okay, because I'm torn. We'll call the handicap system a cruel mistress right now. I had another word, another term, but we won't. We'll go with family-friendly podcast.
The English teacher here.
Here's what I mean. Here's what I say that. By May, man, I dropped. Things were going well. I was 7.3. I distinctly remember coming into the bar after a round, telling you this plan. You laughed in my face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was like, okay, well, that's more fuel to my fire. I'm gonna do this. 7.3. So I was rocking and rolling. Things were going great. And then let's put it this way. It's August 8th, August 7th as we sit here. I'm in 8.6. So
What happened?
It's definitely gone the wrong way. I quit breaking 80. I was breaking 80. Now I just so 3 steps. 3 steps to drop my handicap. I thought if I did these couple of things, my handicap would drop. I thought, I'm a 9. At the beginning of the year, I thought this, I'm a 9. There's no reason that I should shoot 45 or more. Shouldn't everything be, a per 9, obviously, 43 should be the highest number I shoot. And I was sticking to that. No doubles. No doubles was another thing. If you can get 9 holes and have no doubles, you're going to reach that 43 number.
So that's my question. What was your number one thing going into this to get to where you wanted to be? What was the number one thing you wanted to change about your game? No doubles?
No, it was the 45 number.
Okay.
I thought if I was not ever going to shoot 45 on 9 holes, I'm going to avoid 90s. And in turn, I'll never shoot 90 either. So keeping everything in the 80s, keeping that run of numbers.
A part of your game. So what was most important in your game that you wanted to change to get to that?
It's just like a whole conversation. So here's So
we got time, right?
It's a process. I think it's a process because I'm not mechanical. I haven't really ever thought of the game as like, I'm worried about my positions in my swing. I'm worried about this shot over that shot. I'm worried about, when I say that, I mean like, I need to really work on my 5-iron and not my driver. Drive for stroke, putt for go. I don't know that phrase matters, or like is applies to everything. I don't know if it's that legitimate. For me, it was like thinking through the game properly, in the sense that like I would get up to, let's say I hit my driver, I got a second shot. Okay, where's my miss? Where can I hit this ball? Where can I not hit this ball is maybe the better answer. Like if there's water short, hit the ball long, take an extra club. You don't have to be proud. Like if it's 150 and I feel like I need to hit a 7-iron, even though like that's my 8-iron. Like if I have to hit 7-iron and go long, it's better than chunking an 8-iron and putting it in the marsh. Being long seemed like the best. So thinking my way through the game was going to be how I was going to do that.
Funny thing about that, so the guys that I golf with, you met those guys, great guys. One of the guys, Mike, that I golf with, he was telling me a story about the head coach for the Gophers golf men's team.
Mm-hmm.
And you saying, hey, if there's water, just go over the hole, or not over the hole, but just one club longer, right?
Yeah.
So he was saying that when these guys would go out to practice, he took all the pins out. No flags.
Uh-huh.
So these guys were going up to these greens blind, not knowing where the hole was. Their goal was center of the green, right?
Hit the middle of the green.
Hit the middle of the green. So sometimes I'm out there, obviously, that's some stuff that I try and do too. Just mindful of that. But like you said, that's what that totally reminded me of.
Yeah, for sure. And so, state of my game, I guess. We're sitting at August. We got in Minnesota, man. 2 months left, October 8th or so. It's hard to say. It hurts. But we'll get to that. More about that in just a minute here. Goal is still 6. I'm kind of like a volcano, like exploding. My handicap is erupting. It's not. I'm not happy about it. But still, the goal is 6. So we're gonna get there.
Plenty of time.
So a little bit more about what Minnesota Left-Handers is. And what we intend to do. Host events. I think one of the things. So again, we should backtrack a little bit. The State Lefty Open is a tournament that has been going on for a long time, 30 years or so, maybe even more.
And I've never heard of it. Until I met you, it didn't.
Right, and that's part of the problem. That's why I think we're here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I wanted to grow I want everyone in Minnesota, every lefty in Minnesota, to know that there's Lefty Open. I get that we can't all play it, we can't all, the weekend might not work for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But I want everyone to know that there's a State Lefty Open because that tournament needs to grow. It's too unique. Honestly, it's too fun. I've got a core of an email list of 70 guys, and they're all great people. Like I started playing this game when I was playing this tournament when I was just a punk 16-year-old kid, and they just welcomed me in, just some kid, right? I'm 32 now, so I've been playing in it for 32 years, and it's always sort of rotated. A different guy would host it at his course. For 2 years, and then someone else would host it, and just kind of dwindled. Man, I don't know.
And I don't know if I'm getting ahead of the conversation here that you're sharing with us, but the Minnesota, tell me about is this something like a guy that shoots over 100 could go play?
Yes,
absolutely. There's a guy that's shooting, in the 80s, 70s.
So it's a flighted gross event, which means that we don't have net scores, which means that we don't have handicaps. It's straight up score, but it's flighted. So we take the first day and everybody plays their round. We play from the same tees, whatever we think is fitting. I want to say we played 6,100 yards at Riverwood this past July. And from there, I looked at the scores and where everyone was, and based on the number of entrants, and I ended up breaking up into 3 flights. If you were, I think it was within 5 shots of the leader, you were in the championship flight. And then we bumped it back to 6,300 yards. It worked out from, this would be familiar with the white tees to the blue tees. So the championship flight played blue tees.
Yeah.
And then first flight and second flight then continued with the white tees at 6,100. But I just split them. We had seven in each flight, right?
Cool.
And so from there, that was sort of how we handicapped it, even though it wasn't official. And I feel like if you throw some sort of handicap requirement, some sort of handicap stipulation on it,
I don't have a handicap.
Right, it's going to keep people out, and that's not what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so I think Minnesota left-handers exist to grow that. Now, do you want to get into a little bit about how we intend to do that? How we intend to grow the community of golfers?
Well, I mean, I think it's simple. First things first, we want to throw some events. Get the name out there, brand it. So that's what we came up with, Minnesota Left-Handers. They just kind of had something going on. He kind of had a logo. We just changed a few things. We're going to get, more visible on social media. I mean, you can see up in the right upper hand corner, you got Facebook, TikTok, we got YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all sorts of stuff that we're going to be posting to quite a bit. We're big golf fans. I mean, I don't follow as religiously as Nate here, but I mean, gosh, it's a fun game to watch. And with all this, I'm sure this is going to be a conversation later, a big one, because I think we both share some of the same views, but Live PGA, what's going on?
We'll get to that.
That's a conversation that it's kind of fun to have, kind of talk about. Everyone's got an opinion. It's just fun. I mean, you got some big names going over here, big names here. Anyways, yeah. So just get the brand out there, talking, having conversations. It's just fun. It's a community. I mean, people at golf are great people. I mean, family friendly. We all love to, have some beverages, go out there, hit some balls, lose some balls, speak in some tongue,
Speaking of beverages, I've got this beer here. It's from Left Hand Brewing, actually.
They're not sponsoring this, by the way.
Yeah, but if they wanted to, I don't know. Yeah, I think we should both maybe do that. This is my first foray, my first journey into this.
It's a ginger pale ale.
Ginger pale ale.
Yeah, great stuff. What do you think?
Pretty good. Yeah. It hits. I like it. It's not. I mean, it's not like your hazy IPA or anything like that.
4.5.
It's got a unique flavor to it.
And at 20 IBUs.
Yeah.
Good flavor.
Can I read you what's on my Instagram, on my bio, for what I think Minnesota Left-Handers is?
Oh, here you go. Yeah.
I wrote, and this is on my Twitter and Facebook as well. It says, Minnesota Left-Handers LLC exists to grow the golf community in Minnesota with a certain proclivity toward left-handed players.
The English speaker.
So
I love it. Can you define proclivity for me? I cannot say everyone else out there ain't gonna get it, but
sure. I am an English teacher by day, and I moonlight as a podcast host by night, I suppose. So proclivity. I was thinking like a soft spot for lefties. We want to grow a certain fondness for lefties. We want to grow that community as well. Too often, and I am left-handed. And so I'm kind of a part of that whole minority group, I suppose. And every time I've brought up that there's a state lefty open, or that we're doing this, that we've started this new venture, lefties are like, yeah, it's a great idea. We always get left out. They're like there's just a lot of energy behind it, And so proclivity is just a certain fondness for lefties.
So question on that real quick. Because we're talking about left-handers here. Okay, do you write left-handed?
I do.
You do? Okay. I also...
Disaster, by the way. Disaster.
I am a lefty as well, but not on the golf course.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So other areas of your life?
Yes.
With like a pencil?
Yeah. Throw left, writing left.
Just dragging the pencil lead, the graphite as you. Oh yeah, you get up.
I don't get the mark under there. But right-handed, I'm a right-handed golfer. So that's one thing that we kind of differentiate. But I mean, left-hander golfy, and myself just a righty. And that's kind of what I flipped onto him too when he first approached me and said, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And I said, "Hey, if you could emphasize on the lefties, it's going to be great."
But we don't want to leave out the righties.
Yeah, like
We
myself.
don't want to leave out the righties because there's a lot of energy there as well. So I think that next we should talk a little bit more about what we're doing. You said events, but I mean, as we sit here, we're recording podcasts. I think we're going to do more of these podcasts, and I've also got a decently established newsletter on Substack.
Great writer. He modest, but great.
Okay, let me tell you about my writing. Every single time I write something and post, without fail. Like I share it on our Twitter and on the Facebook page and on. For crying out loud, it's literally right here. There's a typo right here on the bio. Instagram. This just gets right to my point. There's a typo every time. So when it comes to...
I might have to become an editor. Send me this stuff here.
God dang it. So yeah, like there's a typo. I like to think that I bring up interesting points, make interesting connections, and that's an important part of writing. English teacher, I can tell you that matters. But so does copy editing. You got to make sure that you don't look like a fool. So I'm going to continue to work and improve that because I just fire this stuff off and send it out. I should do a little more editing. But again, we're going to have the events, we're going to have the podcast, and also going to have the newsletter angle as well. So that's kind of what I think our plan is here. At these events, what do we expect to see on the screen? I should say that this is our upcoming event. This lefty righty 4-ball. I am going to ask you what we can expect at these events, but I should clarify 4-ball versus foursome. So because I received a question about this in an email yesterday actually. They said if it's a 4-ball, if it's a scramble, why are there 2-person teams? There's no scramble here. There will be no scramble involved. This is a best ball, which means that if Brett and I are paired, and I score a 3 and Brett scores a 7, not that's how this will go, but we write down my 3, okay? And we're playing with Jim and Joe in our group as well. Jim scores a 4, Joe scores a 5, they write down a 4, and so it's not like we're on their team. It's not a scramble. We're all playing our own ball. That's the 4-ball, and it's just a best ball. So you write down your best score on the scorecard. I chose to call it 4-ball because that's what they call it in the Ryder Cup. So you're signing up for this best ball event. It's a twosome, 1 right-handed player, 1 left-handed player. 1-day 18-hole event. What else? What else are you going to do with these events?
We're going to have some of your... A lot of us have been to corporate events, work putting on events, where you go out to a golf course, you drink some beers, you have some fun, right? So we're going to involve some of those games too. We're going to have skins games going on. Between the foursome?
Yeah. So the skins, I don't think that it necessarily is between the foursome, but I would say that's between everybody. So we'll get one of those big boards, right? You write down your scores. And then we'll just run down the numbers and go, okay, Jim and Joe and everybody else on hole 2 on any given, I'll just use hole 2 as an example, got a 2 on that hole. They hold off from the fairway. Good for them. Everyone else, best score was par. So they had the lowest score of any group on that hole.
Okay.
They win that skin. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
absolutely. Easy.
At the Lefty Open this year, on day 1, I handed out 9 skins. That means on 9 holes there was a unique low score,
really? Which
is just crazy.
Yeah.
For that many golfers to play,
you think a lot of people would tie.
Well, and usually there are, and to have 9 unique low scores is kind of nuts. But then proxy games, you buy into that as well.
Those are fun. I like those. You see those in just about every event. You have typically on a par 4, par 5, you have the longest drive.
Yep.
On a par 3, whatever one's picked out, it's closest to the pin. In the farthest drive, it has to be in the fairway. Yeah, for those who don't know, it's pretty out. Same with closest to the pin, it's got to be on the green. And then longest putt, any hole can host one of those proxies. That's it, right?
I think those are the main proxy games, yeah. So lots of ways to win, because we're also going to pay out, part of your tournament entry goes to payouts. So we'll pay out to first place, second place, and then one random draw payout. So let's say we have 12 teams, first place, second place, and then we draw, team 8. The team who took 8th place might win the draw, like the random draw payout there, and they would get paid as much as second place. Well, the first place would
absolutely
stand out as having won a little bit more. But I think random draw is good because, I'm not going to say that we're going to have, the lowest score, but I feel like you and I can come in with a 72. Not I'm kidding. I already talked about my handicap, and you said that you shoot not 100 like the ladies. I'm not saying we're going to go low. That's not I just thought I'd throw it out there. But it keeps us in it because there might be a group that throws up a 73. In that random draw, it's like, well, okay, yeah, we're not going to win, but it's not like only first, second, third we pay. Like, there's a chance that we just keep playing, and just the fact of being here and having the fun gives us an opportunity.
And personally, myself, I wouldn't go to one of these events I'm playing for first place, I'm playing for second place. I don't know if people share that same type of opinion with me. I'm going there, there's lefties everywhere, I'm hanging out with some righties, you know what I mean? It's that community. I can go play some golf. Everything's included. We're going to get some free stuff out there. I mean, Titleist golf balls, that'll be cool. And then just playing all these little games and stuff like that. I mean, I totally want to have a marshmallow dragon contest.
Oh, that should fit it. That should fit it, for sure.
Throw a marshmallow on the team.
And I also think this is not necessarily in line for the lefty rated 4-ball.
Yeah.
But we need to have one of those deals at some point where off a tee shot, righties have to hit lefty and lefties have to hit.
Oh, that would be great.
I think that would be super fun.
That would be terrific.
Maybe because this is a 4-ball, you're playing on ball. Maybe we would do that in a scramble or something if we put together one of those, because that's supposed to be fun. And if you're trying to score, because there's no reason you couldn't post this around in your GN either, your handicap either. So I wouldn't want to make you, if you're playing well, you're one over par or something.
Yeah.
And then you get to the 17th hole where I make you hit lefty, and you totally just screw up your whole screw around. We don't need that either. But maybe if we do a scramble, we can do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Also, before we, in the hour before the first tee time, I'm gonna have a putting contest as well. It'll be like $1 a putt, right? And this will pay out entirely. It'll be some 15-foot little slippery breaker or something. And if you make that putt, you get the pot. But me, I've tried 6 times with $6 in a pot. You come up, pay $1, make your putt, you get $7 because you paid my 1, you get my 6. So that pot grows and grows and grows, and the person who makes that putt gets that pot. So that's kind of our first event. Couple of ways to register. First of all, you can contact me through mnlefthanders@gmail.com. My phone number is there as well. Or you can scan the QR code on the screen. This is posted on all of our social media, so it's easy. It's easy to find there.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, first event. We don't know what's gonna, how it's gonna turn out, what's gonna happen. It's gonna be fun. But I mean, all I know is I'm gonna be out there golfing with a bunch of people that are, gonna be a great company. So, excited for that. What about that? Mulligans? Should we do some mulligans?
We could have
talk about that.
We've talked about it. We haven't nailed that down. That may be a day of surprise.
Yeah. Okay.
Which we're spoiling now. But day of surprise potentially.
Yeah.
So what else are we gonna do with this pod? We can't just log on, have 10 minutes of talking about the next event. I think we need to talk about the next event, obviously, but 10 minutes is not 10 minutes of the podcast is enough. We gotta talk about other things. We gotta talk about other important things happening in golf. So you can expect that from me. On the podcast, I'm gonna come up with, I'm gonna come with some fire, some ideas, some thoughts, some stuff there related to the world of golf. You can expect recognition of typos. I can definitely promise you will get a Seinfeld reference or multiple per episode. I don't know if you're a Seinfeld guy, but I promise you that this will be true. And then hopefully a way to engage with us in the comments, or we're not live today, but if we do decide to go live, ways that we can engage with listeners, if you comment here on YouTube or things like that. So that's kind of a couple of the ways that I expect to kind of see where this podcast goes. What else do you expect to do with this podcast?
I love the golf. People aren't just going to come here to look at us talk about ourselves and hear about our event. You know what I mean? They probably want to hear some stuff about the golf community and stuff like that too. So yeah, I'm excited to start. I'd dive into it right now if you wanted to, but I'd start picking your brain about the LIV, PGA, all these guys, and some of the comments, Moneybags Tiger says, and Rory, and all these guys, and oh man, it could go on for another half an hour if you wanted to. But
this is good because I have my first thought. But before we get there, I feel like at times people are going to come on here and have to listen to me talk about my latest round. Because you're not going to believe what happened to me on the 16th hole. I was playing so well, or something like that. That's going to come up,
Me and Case went out to Fairway Shorts, Zimmerman, little 9-hole, 1,700 yard. We went out there today. What I like about that, golfing with my kid, he's 3 years old. Kid's terrific out on the course. He loves it. Collecting tees, picking up balls. He might hit a tee shot here and there, but he loves putting. The kid drained like a 20-foot putt on Riverwood one time, and I was like, oh my god.
Wait, Riverwood, not vintage with the big cups.
Right. No, this is Riverwood with it it was crazy. But went out there, it was great. We got a round down in like an hour and 10 minutes. It was just quick because everything was so short.
You're talking 9 holes, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, they don't have 18 out there, yeah. Then some of them are, some of their holes
are,
yeah, some of them are, I think their longest holes, 250 yards.
Okay.
So, they got 3 200-yard plus holes, but the rest are all like 90 to, 180. But yeah, it was great. It was great taking them out there. I didn't play that good, but we don't have to talk about that. I took out my kid, right?
I haven't played in a couple of days. I played Thursday in my league out at Riverwood. This feels like the Riverwood podcast. It's not. It doesn't have to be the Riverwood podcast.
It's our own course.
We live nearby, and
it's a tough course. Everyone hates the front 9, love the back 9.
And I'm sure they wouldn't mind if they heard us talking this much about the Riverwood National Golf Course in Otsego, Minnesota. But I was. Okay, I'll get into it. I was playing well. I was hanging in. I was 3 over going to our 9th hole in league, and it was the 8th hole because we shotgun started. So we started on number 9. So we did the 8th hole, and it's 4 over. But I'm going, okay. It's got those 2 marshes, right? But you kind of hit like a 3-iron or like a 5-wood up there, and then you go into the green. Well, I go down into this pit that's off to the right a little bit. Excuse me. And that was nice. You're going to get that occasionally too. We are drinking carbonated beverages. And so I go left, and I'm like, all right, just get it on green. Like, this is my thought process. Right on to the left, and if you've played this course, or this course is 8th hole, I'm off to the left, kind of in the weeds. And I got to go over the bunker to a short side of the pin. But there is a world of green behind the pin. So I'm like, just get it up there. Just get it over that, and it's all good. Well, I kind of got under the ball, and I just didn't get as much on it as I thought.
Same.
And then I chipped, then I went long, came back, missed the putt, made 6. Finished with a 42.
But you did 3-putt.
42, but I did 3-putt. And it was under 45, which again is my goal. Like, I should never do that. And so now next week, though, when I get to the back 9, because that's how it works. When we play the front 9, we play the back 9. I need to score. I need to score because I don't have time to come in with another 42 and shoot an 84 and put that on my handicap. I can't have that.
Not if you want to get to
And so, not if I want to get to a 6.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the goal, and that's not going to do it for me if that's the way I'm going to play this game.
So what's my handicap if I'm shooting a 48?
So 90. What is that? 96.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't directly relate. The handicap
Because you get the slope of the course and
tricky
all this
thing.
stuff.
Right.
How many yardage you're playing from.
And if you play the tips, that makes a huge difference. That seems to drop your handicap more than if you play up. So like if you play, let's say you shot a 42 from the whites, right, at 6,100 yards, and then you back up to the tips at River, which is 7,000, but you shot a 42 again from the whites. Let's say you shot a 44 from the tips. You might end up with a lower handicap because of what you played. Does that make sense? So, again, this doesn't directly relate, but par out there 72, you shot 96. That's 24 handicap. But that's not. Again, I would say.
What did you say? 6? You're going for 6?
I'm going for 6, which I mean. I don't know, like I consistently shoot.
Okay, let's not blow over the 24 here. That's a big number. Yikes.
So, I mean, I'm trying to.
Thank you.
But again, you're probably closer to like a 20 or something. So don't let that deter you. But also, like, you're a golf podcast host now. You need to get a handicap. You gotta step this up.
I had one. I paid for the Gin app, and then you just track it right on there.
Uh-huh.
I think when I first got it, Riverwood, right by the bathroom there, they had a computer. You go on there and you plug it in, and away you went. It was like $30, right?
Might be a little more, might be 45. But we also now have these newfangled things.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a cord right here, so it's kind of nice. You don't have to. I remember though years ago having to go into the shop and then print out a little card for you and whatever. But yeah, so like I said, talking a little bit more than just our own golf, our own thing, our own events, our own stuff here. Let's expand out to the world of golf a little bit. I have a hot take on live golf.
Yeah.
Charles Howell. See, you're like, good enough because this isn't the hot take you thought. Charles Howell is a recent defector.
H-O-W-E?
H-O-W-E-L-L. Charles Howell the third, maybe.
Okay. Yeah,
the third.
Professional golfer.
Verify these for me. I'm going to throw out some facts about Charles Howell, and you confirm them or deny them or correct me. Open up his Wikipedia.
Okay.
So Charles Howell III is roughly 45 years old. He joined the tour
43.
very close to the time that Tiger Woods did. And I don't know if you're going to go with
2000.
Okay, so Tiger was 96, so he's definitely newer than that.
Mm-hmm.
His career earnings are at a number that you are going to be surprised by, given the fact that you had to look him up, and he's never won a major. Like, he's 5 tournaments?
42 million.
How is that possible, right? This is my point. This is what I'm saying. This is why I'm going the Charles Howell right. The Charles Howell route.
90 top 10 finishes in his career.
Here's your thing. How many tour wins? Less than 5?
Yeah.
I think it's probably less than 5. I would say 3? Like on the PGA Tour?
Hey, professional wins 3.
Yeah, like
PGA Tour.
way long ago too, because he's getting old. So, number 1, he seems like the perfect candidate for LIV. Cash it in on some of the big, the big paydays, the big appearance fees, whatever that big initial, that guaranteed number is.
Yeah.
Never make this claim, and I feel like you're gonna have an opinion instantly. I'm gonna actually ask you to put that down before I make this claim. Charles Howell III is the Kirk Cousins of pro golf.
Oh.
This is a guy. Kirk Cousins.
This is a guy.
So
here's a guy.
Here's a guy who
It's not flashy.
$42 million, right? Like, so much money. Now, you're going to be able to tackle this. Kirk Cousins. Where's he at? What are his numbers? Like, just roughly, if you had to ballpark him, I know we're not going to be perfect, but if you had to ballpark this, what would you say? I mean, is he capitalizing on every single possible deal?
Yeah, well, the guy, he's a salesman. I mean, he knows the business, that's for sure.
Without ever really doing much. And I feel like as Minnesotans, this hits us.
Well, God, I got such a strong opinion on him, dude. I mean, just so you guys can know, my kid's name is Case.
I didn't realize that. No way. Is it really like that?
Minneapolis Miracle, dude.
Like,
that's where that name came from.
I knew it was Case, but I didn't realize that we were going.
That's where the name came from. Keenum. Case Keenum. That's where I first heard that name. And me and my wife his name was, we were going after Caden, and I threw out Case, and we just kind of chatted about it, and I was like, what do you think? I don't know if she knows that's where I got that name from, because it's always Case IH, the tractor. But yeah, Case Keenum, Minnesota Miracle. If I wanted a Kirk Cousins, I would have just kept Case Keenum.
Mm-hmm.
And paid him a third of the price.
So, right. That's what I'm saying. This guy, didn't he have, like, he came in for, like, Robert Griffin the third.
Yeah.
And, everyone loves the backup because that's the nature of fandom. He came in, finished the year strong. I think they probably won a few games, but they were so far out of the playoffs it didn't matter. Cashed in on a deal, made a ton of money, and then came to the Vikings in a down free agent market, and so he got paid. Like, there just weren't a lot of quarterbacks at the time, and we were. What were we? We were between Bridgewater.
Oh, we were in limbo. Yeah, I mean, we had such a. I mean, I hate to bring up the name, but after Christian Ponder at the beginning of Teddy Bridgewater, like in between Ponder, Bridgewater, and we had Bradford.
Oh, wait, Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford. Dude, he set the record for passer accuracy.
Oh, he did. That's right.
Yes.
And people were like trying to tout that, like sportscasters were trying to tout that as like some guy who makes it good. I should say, can I cut in for just a second?
Yeah.
Scratch handicap, Sam Bradford. Just saying. Anyway, continue on.
Didn't know. Like I said, this guy with gold. He's just so yeah. Sam Bradford he sets a record for accuracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Problem with it, they're 2-yard passes because their offensive line has been terrible ever since Christian Ponder left, right? I mean, yeah, right. But yeah. So then you get Teddy Bridgewater in there, a guy that can run, a little bit more athletic, and of course the guy's leg falls off. You know what I mean? And mind you, it happened in practice, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
It happened in practice. But of course, that. And then we get Kirk Cousins, right? Mr. Reliable, I guess let's call him, right? Mr. I don't
high completion percentage, whatever.
I was just going into that. He set the record, took it from Sam Bradford. You know why? Because he was playing behind one of the same offensive lines.
And we just throw these little slant passes like out into the flat, like just.
Two things the Vikings have always had: a good run defense and a running back.
Yeah, and that's about it, and that's why nothing ever pans out for us, and that's what we're seeing out of Kirk. I want to know what his contract is. Do you remember how many years it was for?
He just signed an extension. I think it's a 2-year extension. We just signed him.
That's right. In 2018, he agreed to a 3-year, $84 million contract. That's an insane number.
Yeah,
I think it's been passed up now by other guys, but
yeah, but we just signed him longer.
I'm
pretty sure because I want to say it was super.
1-year extension for $35 million in 2022. But that's interesting because. I'm going to butcher this name, our new GM, Kwesi Adolfo Mensa. Is that right? We're gonna go with it.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Can we just abbreviate that?
Yeah.
I mean, would he be offended if we abbreviate
We'll go with the new Vikings GM.
Okay.
I've heard, and I'm a big golf guy, not a huge football guy, but I've heard that he's not high on Kirk.
No, he
so,
actually sent out or had a conversation and said something about Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins was, and mind you, the media blew it out of proportion and all this fun stuff about how he said it about Kirk, but Kirk, he totally played it like I say, the guy's a salesman and he knows how to react to these things. Oh, no worries, yeah, no big deal. But I'll look up the quote here while you.
Yeah. So it's just another example of him cashing in another $35 million. He's Charles Howell III, man. He is. I think it's the best comparison that I can make for a Minnesota sports figure. I mean, you look at someone like, I don't know, like Joe Mauer, who got paid a lot of money, but it feels like he sort of hamstrung the Twins a little bit, like ruined their contract opportunities, but at least he played well. Anyway, do you have that number?
So the quote here, he said, in I might be taking this out of context too because I'm just reading the portion of it. He said he was a good quarterback, but said we don't have a Tom Brady, we don't have a Patrick Mahomes. In Kirk's response,
feels like a gunslinger and because Pat Mahomes is a gunslinger, but we don't. It's like someone who can take a game and just flat out win it, and Tom Brady, and it feels like Mahomes is just going to win a track meet. We don't have someone who can just be a leader, because that's two different leadership styles that he referenced there.
Rex Grossman went to a Super Bowl.
I know.
I'm just saying.
So did Jake Delhomme.
But yeah, Kirk Cousins' response to that, saying that he's not like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, not too concerned about him.
What? How is that possible? Like, what are you gonna prove? Like, you got something to prove. That should put a chip on your shoulder.
Dude, you're not too concerned about it.
That should put a chip on your shoulder. I feel like who are our receivers right now that he can throw? We got Dalvin Cook. We have Irv Smith back.
Yep.
We got Thielen.
Yeah.
This guy's missing the number one, maybe number 2 wide receiver in all of NFL.
Percy Harvin? Who are you talking about?
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. Goodness gracious. Yes. We got the firepower to do something there. It's about
Kirk Cousins needs an offensive line.
Closing that deal. Yeah.
He needs an offensive line.
And maybe our new staff will own that and go that route.
I'm afraid this is the first time we're getting away from a very defensive-minded head coach. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You had Zimmer. He was all defense. I mean, our defense carried us for defense wins championships. I'm a firm believer in that. You can have the flashiest offense in the world, but a good defense can shut that down. So, Kirk Cousins, behind a mediocre offensive line, having Dalvin Cook's getting old.
Which is hard to believe, but in running back lifespan,
Mm-hmm.
he is. I want to say the average running back makes it like 3 years.
A solid 3 years.
Yeah, like a good 3 years. You're LaDainian Tomlinson's, Adrian Peterson's, like some of those guys, like they're anomalies, man.
Is Frank Gore still in the league?
He's done. I think he's done at this point. But but it's that kind of guy that's just sort of a freak, right? Like it just life, like their career worked out for them. You can't always expect that, and so you're right. Dalvin is nearing the back half of his most productive years, and it's time to start looking at who's next for us.
And that's just it too. The Vikings have always had such good luck with running backs. Jerick McKinnon would have had such a successful career had he not gone to the 49ers and torn his ACL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and he even came back from that and had a good year last year. Pretty sure he was playing for the Chiefs. He played for those guys. Yep.
Chiefs? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so he left the 49ers.
And then after, I mean, look at the guys we got now. Alexander Madison, he could be a starter.
He probably could.
Remember Chester Taylor?
Oh yeah.
The combo AP Chester. I mean, we've always had. What's that other guys? Rock Boone. I'm combining two guys.
Rock Boone. We had Alex Boone, who was like a lineman, and he was like a media darling. I don't know.
We had this other flashy running back. I think it was last year. He Rock something. I forget his name.
Toby Gerhardt.
Dude, that guy could not run unless he was hitting someone. He'd go into space. He was such an uphill runner. He needed to run into people to stay standing up.
Uh-huh.
But man, did we get a deal for him. We sent him to Jacksonville. His career ended there, and we made out of that with some picks and some free caps. So it was good. Yeah,
for sure. So this concludes our golf podcast, I suppose. No.
But I want to talk about it.
No, live.
PGA Tour. Why are we not talking about this yet?
I know. Well, I think the PGA Tour is in trouble. Personally, I think the PGA Tour is in trouble, and let me make my case. It's going to take me a second to make this case, but I feel like I can make this case. Look at the Wyndham, the Rocket Mortgage, where Tony Finau won. The 3M here in the Twin Cities where Finau won hit it. What a stretch. Side note, what a stretch. The major doesn't count because everyone's there. Scottish Open doesn't even really count. But as guys are starting to go there, the firepower, the big names are heading to live, man. I mean, you got guys who will defend the PGA Tour to the death in Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas, it seems. But a whole bunch of names, like the names that are going to live, are stronger than the names that are staying. The names that are showing up to these events. The PGA Tour, like if you look at the last 3 weeks, was his name Tom Kim who won today? I don't know. Does that sound right?
This is going to be hard for you to. Most of the guys weren't playing at this event because they're already in the playoffs. Correct?
Yes.
Fair statement. So a lot of these guys that were playing in this tournament specifically were the guys that needed to play to try and make that, 125 top golfers, right?
Which is a storyline, by the way, that I think...
It just started downpouring here, by the way, so if you
Yeah.
get some background noise, it's
Do you want to show me what's that? I'll keep explaining my thoughts on live here. That's a storyline that I think the PGA Tour is going to have to start to own, to start to really sell. Stop talking about, Justin Thomas when he's on the course. Stop talking about because they need to start building up these guys who are right on that number. Max McGreevy was right on that number. There's a few names. Go check out my latest newsletter for those names. Just saying.
Good plug.
That are right there. And those
And
are
where
the
can we
stories.
find that newsletter?
Oh, that's at Substack. MNLefthanders.substack.com. But that's where they need to start selling this because those are the storylines. Those are the names that are getting their lives changed by playing one good week. Now, Tony Finau's not even in that class. Like, he's fine. He's going to be all right. But it's some of those guys who you can really get behind a story like theirs. They're finally gonna make it. They're finally gonna get there. But so to my live argument, every player, live, DP Tour, DP World Tour, PGA Tour, they were all at the U.S. Open and they were all at the Open Championship over at St. Andrews. And it seems to me that everything they're saying about live is BS. Like the grow the game stuff, which is an absurd phrase. Like I hate that phrase anyway. I hate the way the PGA Tour uses it. I hate the way it's talked about with golf. The USGA uses it. I don't like it. But they're saying it there too. I spend more time with my family. All this stuff. Abraham answered me that line. He said, I want to spend more time with my family. Now, I don't want to take away from parents and other things like that, because that's family as well.
Right.
But the man doesn't have a wife or kids. You want to spend more time with your family. Like, what? What? So, okay. So it seems, right, they need that dog, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not taking away from your parents. I'm taking away from your parents. And I heard an interview with him on No Laying Up. He sounds like a great dude. He really does. And really tied to that side of his family. But it's just, it seems to fall on deaf ears when you don't actually have a wife and kids to go home to. Whatever. My point is simply that behind closed doors at the Open, they had every opportunity to dog this tour. I regret going. Did they own you?
You're talking the behind the curtain conversations,
the stuff
the locker room
talk.
Yeah, where these guys are in front of the camera
to dog this tour, and they're not. People keep going, and it sounds like some of the rumors are that after the FedEx Cup playoffs, more and more are going.
And let me ask you this: I got a couple things here. So, isn't there a lawsuit going on right now too?
Yes.
Do you know anything about? I didn't read too much into it.
So 11 PGA, 11 Live Tour guys are suing the PGA Tour to be able to compete in the FedEx Cup playoffs, which is the season starting this week.
Yep.
2 events and then the Tour Championship. Not because of the money, because they've made enough. That can't be it. It's got to be about legacy, and we know that people care about who wins the FedEx Cup more than who wins. See, here's the thing. I don't even know where the next event is with Liv. There's 4 more.
We can't even watch it live.
No, you gotta watch it on YouTube or their Facebook, which I have another really grinds my gears. Another piece that really grinds my gears.
I love it.
Yes, he did. From failure. I said Seinfeld.
Yeah. We're now you're talking my language.
And so, that lawsuit, they want to play, but then they don't. Then there was a leaked conversation, I think, between Sergio and Greg Norman. It's like Greg Norman kind of saw this coming because Sergio said... Greg Norman's the CEO of Liv. He's the shark. He's...
And who's the guy at the PGA?
Jay Monahan. Monahan. Okay. So Sergio wrote to him and said, it sounds like there's going to be a lawsuit that, this sounds like it's headed for disaster. I don't remember the exact quote. You can look it up if you want to. It's out there. Norman said, basically, they don't have a leg to stand on. You don't have to worry. So we'll see where this lawsuit goes. It better resolve quickly if they want to play in the FedEx Cup playoffs, which start this week. So we'll see. I don't know for sure, but...
So the second one was majors.
Yes.
So who controls the majors? It's not the same as the PGA, obviously, right?
No. Well, okay. So the PGA Tour is the entity run by the players. Their biggest event is the Players Championship down in Sawgrass. You got the Island Green at 17.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest PGA Tour event. It's often described as the 5th major, right? But you've got, in order, you've got the Masters in April. You have the PGA Championship in May, the U.S. Open in June, and the Open in July. The Masters is literally run by the Masters, the organization.
Right. Yep.
The PGA Championship is run by the PGA of America, not the PGA Tour, the PGA of America, which is a separate organization. And that includes all your club pros. So the Club Pro at Riverwood, the Club Pro at Monticello, the Club Pro at Wild Marsh, these guys are all part of the PGA of America. And they, if they want, can qualify for this major. It's sort of open to them. They have to go through some qualifying pieces, but they can play.
Right.
The U.S. Open is run by the USGA, who puts on the U.S. Amateur, the U.S. Junior Am, and then the same tournaments on the women's side, right? The U.S. Women's Open, all those things. And then the Open Championship is run by the Royal and Ancient, the RNA, the Royal and Ancient Club.
See, I don't know all this stuff. This is good knowledge. So I'm glad we're having this conversation. It's information for me too.
Yeah, and that's why the PGA Tour will go as the majors go, in my opinion, because they get to decide to invite or not invite the Live guys. If the PGA Tour ran all the majors, Live dissolves. It goes away. But it depends on what Fred Ridley, the chairman of the Masters organization, depends on what he decides.
He can't kick these guys out, can he?
Well, no. So he has said they will disinvite Live guys already. He said it last year, like maybe after the Masters, but he did say that. the Open, I believe, said that they will continue to invite live guys. And I don't know that the USGA, the US Open, or the PGA of America have made statements yet. But if they continue to allow people to, like players from both tours, the PGA Tour and the LIV, to play in these majors, that's where the legacy is. That's where history is made. That's the number that I feel like since Tiger Woods, like that's the number that matters. How many majors does the guy have? Is that a big tell on what kind of player he is?
And Tiger Woods, I mean, that's a whole other story. The reason why that guy isn't doing the LIV is because he's got all the money.
Well, he also made the PGA Tour. He made the PGA Tour.
He made golf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before you're... I mean, name all these old school golfers. You had...
well, Greg Norman was on the tour, Nick Faldo, Nick Price.
I'm talking about even older than that. I'm talking about...
Like Jack Nicklaus,
yes.
Tom Watson,
yes.
Savino, Arnold Palmer.
Yes. I mean, that was when golf was, like, at its greatest, right? And then there was this long period of time before Tiger came around, picked up this thing, and took off.
Oh, yeah.
And then he found the fame and the drugs and the women.
Might as well say that for another discussion. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just think that the tour that wins the LIV or PGA Tour will go as the majors go. It depends on what they end up deciding. They were kind of stuck this year because this all came down, I want to say in June was when they released the field and all that. And they said, we're going to let the Masters happen. They ended up letting the PGA Championship happen. And then it was kind of at that point that they were like, we got to say something because the field started being released, names started going to LIV. But now once 2023 comes around, that's when things really are gonna hit the fan, I suppose. Which organizations are gonna keep both players available, which ones aren't, and so you're gonna have to really sell the stories of Max McGreevy and Matthias Schwab and Chris Gotterup and Max Homa. Well, and Max Homa's way up there, but these guys who you're gonna have to find new stars because your Bryson DeChambeaus, your Brooks Koepkas, your Dustin Johnsons, they're gone.
And those were, names that you'd always see in the leaderboard. I mean, those were top 20, 25 guys in every event for the PGA. Every weekend you'd be seeing these guys out there and stuff like that. So, and on that too, you have all these guys that leave. What does that do for guys that are up and coming? I mean, we were with Ray Eady down at the 3M. Me and Nate went down to the 3M, and we were following
So
them.
you got the hat.
Yeah, can you tell? It's a beautiful hat. It's great. Yeah.
Right.
But we were down there. We met up with Ray Eady, and then they were following around. What was that guy's name? I mean, that's a pretty cool story. He was kind of telling us a little bit about this guy and just following around and his journey that he was in. Didn't he have to have a top 10 finish there to make something?
To keep his card, yeah. To get to the top 125 or something, in order to have status next year, and he did. And it's just cool to see those stories, and I really wish the broadcast would have highlighted the story. Like, they kind of did for a guy named Grayson Sig.
That's what the PGA teams do through these events. They need to tell these stories about all these players that are up and coming that are on the cusp of doing something great. So,
right.
I mean, when's the last time we've had a Jordan Spieth?
Right. Exactly. We don't have these guys who are going to be stars. We haven't had them in a while. Where it looked like Rory McIlroy is the next Golden Boy or Jordan Spieth is the next Golden Boy. We haven't had that, and I think that too, honestly, is a result of Tiger Woods. There's just a lot of really, really good golf now because people came up watching this guy. I mean, I'm so lucky to have seen him. I missed most of Michael Jordan's dominance, for example. As also a basketball guy, I missed that. Not so much an NBA guy in the current iteration, but at the time, and to have missed that, but to have seen the absolute dominance of Tiger. I love golf as much as I do because he sort of lit that fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just
For a lot of people.
the fist pumps.
Red on Sunday, baby.
Red on Sunday, and we all know that deal.
What about John Daly and his boy and Tiger and his boy watching those guys play? That was pretty cool.
Oh, at that father-son.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
And
Daly and his kid won that, did they?
I think they did.
Yeah.
Well, his son's playing D1 at the same school that they went to, Arkansas, the Razorbacks. I think they kind of paid or something.
Yes.
And so, to have those two, kind of coming up and watching Daly and Tiger. There's Tiger's practice rounds at the Open, for example, were recorded up down and sideways, and we saw the whole thing on Twitter and whatever because people were recording the whole thing. Daly came over, they high-fived, they shook hands. You think of Tiger as sort of like up here and Daly sort of like down here. But that's not the way, I don't think that's the way that Tiger is on tour.
No,
not at all. He seems to relate to everybody and respect everybody, even though he was like,
Except Sergio.
Except Sergio. Now that you say that, that's also true.
And then, so you got that type of event, that was fun to watch. And then you got, how cool was it watching Phil go against Tiger and listening to those guys make those bets on the sidelines and their 1v1 thing that they had.
At the match?
Yes, the match, yes.
The only thing that I think would have made the match better is if it was actually like their money and they were pulling the balls out on each team.
Right.
There's that.
Throwing down on her.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because I can't really relate to that kind of goal. I can't really relate to this. It's like, what are you doing here with all this money?
Mm-hmm.
But, that's the kind of thing that was the age of golf that absolutely drove what we're seeing now.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, if the PGA Tour stays on the path that they're on and guys go to live and whatever else, you need to really highlight the guys who are just trying to make it, because so many have just fallen by the wayside. And they're influenced by Tiger just the same as Jordan Spieth and Ricky Fowler, Ricky Fowler too, but like Rory McIlroy.
Ricky.
He actually, did you see where he landed?
Isn't he outside?
126.
Yes, I knew it.
Too bad. Really too bad.
And the guy's been living in his own shadow, dude. How terrible is that? Comes up with a vision problem, and now has, ever since then, been his own shadow.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, because he won the Players in 2015 or something, and he just hasn't done much since. But I will say, you and I were at the 3M on Friday, like you had just mentioned, and we saw him at the range, and then, he was coming from the range over to the practice tee, and people were going nuts, and then he had a few putts, went to the first tee, and we saw him tee off. He had the biggest roar. The most following. At that moment, we'd seen a few guys tee off. There was a handful of players.
Yep.
But
he had I would say he had the biggest following.
Yeah, the most energy around him.
Yep.
For a guy who's, I don't know, he barely made the cut. I think he finished 2 over. I don't know. He was not a factor. The guy has marketed himself as good as well as anybody.
He's the face of Puma.
I know, it's just, and Rocket Mortgage, no less. I mean, it's just, the guy has really, really done, he's made a name for himself.
I want him to be so good, too.
I would love for him to, be in that Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth category.
He reminds me of that frat boy, out there to have some fun.
Yeah.
John Daly's quote. I don't know where I seen this. It was TikTok or Twitter or whatever. But he pulls up to a course, gets out of there, lights up a Mar, grabs a Miller Lite, cracks it, and he just goes, "All right, what's the course record? Where's the first tee box?" It's just I love that.
The deal is, here's the problem, we could have an entire podcast on John Daly quotes.
Oh my god.
Because my favorite John Daly quote that I've seen, and this came out, someone made it into an image or a meme or whatever on Instagram, had a picture of John Daly, they were smoking a cigarette, of course, kind of leaning on his club, and it said, "I'm a Miller Lite guy, have been since I was 8. I mean, it's great. Yeah. How do you not like that guy? He's the everyman, and I really hope that he makes a name for himself, or at least continues to be okay, because we need him to not.
No, he's the Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, for sure. We need him around. And so in different ways, he and Ricky have sort of kept their names around. They kept their names visible, which I think is
great.
Which I think is good, and
Especially for the game.
I would like to see Ricky, like you said.
Now, so leading into a little bit more on that, we talked about the match. We talked about the normal matches, stuff like that. We talked about the father-son. What did you think? Please tell me you watched Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen. You didn't?
I didn't watch even a second.
Oh my God! They reminded me. Their golf game is very similar to mine. Never hitting out of the fairway. I think Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Had no clue what they were doing out there. I mean, they did, but it was so awesome to watch because I was literally watching someone like myself out on the golf course. It was pretty cool. I would definitely give it a watch if you had some time. It's cool.
I mean, I can probably still find it on. I'm sure the whole thing's uploaded on YouTube or something. Yeah.
But yeah, that's so. What leads into the next thing here. So, do you think these guys could do something themselves? Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson. Justin Thomas, right? Those are all the guys.
Justin Thomas is still a PGA Tour guy.
PGA Tour, okay. So then you got Phil.
Bryson
DeChambeau, yeah. Great guy to watch. I mean, ugly swing, but great to watch, right?
He's bombing the ball.
Oh, God, that guy can hit it. What's stopping these guys from calling up Capital One and going, hey, we're going to meet up with some of these PGA guys. They won't let us play with them unless it's a major. We're going to go meet up 20 guys. And we're going to have our own little tournament. What do you guys want to come broadcast this for us?
Yeah.
What's stopping them from doing something like that? Contracts?
I don't know because now I bet it is.
Mm-hmm.
But they were seen as independent contractors when they were with the PGA Tour until the PGA Tour went kind of weird with it because you can't. If they're independent contractors, you shouldn't be able to decide where they play. You just sort of have this allegiance with the PGA Tour. But I do think that with LIV, they're tied in. There's obligations. There's appearances. You are our person. You are under our umbrella. And so now I think they might run into a problem with that. I don't think before that would have been the case. So we'll have to see.
That would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
I'd have done that.
If they can make some money doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I have another sort of thought here that I want to get listeners' opinions on. This fall, I've got an event coming up. Not so much an event coming up, but a golf trip that I have planned. And it is my thought before I schedule it is I want to know which two courses, like which city has the best 36 holes? Like which city has the best 2-course option in Minnesota?
Buffalo. You got Buffalo Heights?
Okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves
over here.
Here's the deal. I grew up in Buffalo Heights. I have a certain affinity for that course.
I've worked at Wild Marsh too, so I've spent years there working.
It's great. I do love Buffalo Heights, but I don't think that's gonna crack the top 10.
I honestly don't.
You look at a place like Prior Lake, where you have the Legend and you have Meadows.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go Hastings, you could go Emerald Greens. They have it's a 36-hole facility. Stillwater's got Stone Ridge and Loggers Trail, but also just 9 minutes away, you have the Royal Club in
your ability to recall courses.
In Lake Elmo. Anyway, well, I've done a little research because this is a trip I want to try to put together. And then also outside of Minnesota, I get it, but let's go.
Trying to go to Brainerd.
Let's go to Hudson, Wisconsin. I would like to avoid the resort courses. And I'm going to branch out a little bit here. Go to Hudson, Wisconsin. Troy Byrne, White Eagle, supposed to be a great one too. And so what I'm wondering is, and I'll throw this out on the social media if we can get some votes on this as well. Which city, maybe outside of the ones that I've named, have the best sort of 1-2 punch for a golf day? I can't think. I mean, Cannon Falls. Maybe I'll throw that on there. Has Cannon Falls Golf Club and Summit.
What about south? Going south of the metro.
And see, that's an area I don't know, and that's maybe something we can.
That's where I don't know either. Yeah.
Get some listener feedback on. See what they think. Because in my opinion, it comes down to Stillwater or Prior Lake. We'll see if there's other votes, other ideas. But I'm thinking in just a couple weeks here of putting together a trip, and I'll put a bunch of it on social media and stuff.
Yeah, well, now that we're growing this brand, I wouldn't mind going with you. We could throw some stuff on TikTok, some YouTube. I could bring some GoPros. We can actually video some of this stuff, cut and edit it, and just throw a little video.
Play around it.
Oh, dude, yeah. We can throw something together here.
Yeah.
For that. Yeah.
And so, in order to do that, I think we need votes. So this is a call for anyone who might be listening.
All of our viewers
to check out our social media and vote on what you think.
We'll just throw some ideas up there.
Which city would you think has the best sort of 1-2 punch?
Maybe an upcoming newsletter about it?
Maybe in the upcoming newsletter for sure.
Yeah.
Here is Seinfeld. You're familiar.
You just had to do it.
So I have
you brought it up.
I have
to follow through with it.
And this is where my allegiances lie with this question. There's an episode of Seinfeld where they get these hockey tickets and from a guy who can't make it, right? And they're like, thank you, this is nice of you to give us these tickets for tonight's playoff game is between the Devils and the Rangers. And so they get these tickets, and he says, the guy with the tickets, he says, I can't use them tomorrow night either if you're interested. That would be great, really, thank you very much. So they go to the game, they have their fun. Then the episode cuts to the next day, and Jerry is sitting there with Kramer, and Kramer says, well, did you call him and thank him for the tickets? He goes, I thanked him a bunch when he gave us it. I'm not going to call him and thank him again. I feel like enough of this overthinking, right? So they're back and forth about this. And they're like, the game's in 1 hour. We got to call him. We got to see. We got to find out. And there's a long way to go for this punchline. I get it. Kramer starts getting in his face like, we gotta say thank you, guys, thank you. And he just gets up in him and he's backing Kramer, or backing Jerry into the kitchen. Like he's opening the door to the sink now. He goes, listen, if you want to be a part of society, you gotta if you don't want to be a part of society, you gotta get in your car and move to the east side. So he's like, oh, he's fired up. And that's what I think. I think to find good golf, we gotta get in our car and we gotta go to the east side. We gotta go to the east side. We gotta go to Hudson. We gotta go to Stillwater. We gotta find the best golf over there. Prior Lake, we're not going there this time. We gotta go to the east. We gotta get in our car and go to the east side. I'm fired up. I think my earpods falling out of me.
With a filter. You can filter for anything. I love the 3D tours. It makes it feel like I'm there.
And the view filter.
It's super simple.
Use Realtor.com and make the process easy.
I tapped it.
Yeah.
Are we good? We're good. I think we're good. I think we're still recording. Okay, we'll cut this.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay.
Fixed.
Okay.
I don't think they heard that.
Okay.
I don't think they got the ads and the music that was just playing in our headsets here, but
So anyway,
yeah.
just fire it up, man. I think that's what we have to do. I think I need to bring that kind of Kramer fire to this poll, and I'm gonna argue for the east side, Stillwater Hudson, and we'll see where we land.
Yeah, I'm North Metro, so I'm anywhere but Southside with me.
and I don't go east all that often. I for whatever reason, Woodbury, Oak Park Heights, and I don't go there. I don't go there. So we'll have to see what the listeners think about that.
Yeah, so before we wrap things up here, what can you tell them to expect?
For the lefty righty four ball here?
No, just for Minnesota left-handers going forward. First podcast together. I mean, what can everyone look for going forward here with us?
Well, I think you can look for an attempt to grow the golf community with a certain proclivity toward lefties. But yes, that's a callback to earlier in the episode. But I do think that we're going to continue to release these podcast episodes with.
Yeah, this is fun. I enjoyed this for being our first one. I mean, it was just like shooting this stuff.
Shooting the breeze.
Yeah, shooting the stuff.
If it's golf, it's golf. If it's Kirk Cousins, if it's Seinfeld references, that's what we got.
If we don't pick up views or anything like that, I mean, it's not a big deal. This is fun.
We'll just continue to do this, and so with podcast episodes, definitely that's what you can kind of expect. Newsletters, I'll probably try to keep a little more golf focused. But then with this event, get signed up as soon as you can. If you've got a righty buddy, if you've got a lefty buddy, get signed up. There's a couple ways again on the screen now, and on all of our social media. This flyer's there. Definitely just scan that QR code. It's gonna kick you to a Google form. Sign up. And once those start to come in, I'll add you to the email list, and I'll get information about how to pay later. Preferably Venmo, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I don't want to exclude people because they don't have a Venmo.
Right.
We'll make that
We'll
work.
figure that part.
But we also know that summer's coming to a close here. This event's in the fall. We've definitely talked about a winter event or two with some simulators.
Yes.
And then the spring event, all kind of leading up to that State Lefty Open would be kind of the efforts here. And obviously it's not going to stop at that State Lefty Open. We'll continue this after that. But thinking kind of in our year-out plan, this fall event, a couple winter events, a spring event, and then in July, actually the 22nd and 23rd back at Riverwood would be that State Lefty Open. So let's get the word out about that as well.
Cool. Well, awesome. I'm Brett Relander. Thanks, guys.
And I'm Nate Doimer.
We appreciate you guys stopping in and giving us a listen. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, help us out, and
Come back for more.
yeah, get out there and golf.
All right.